And that gets us to segment 3 of this show, the keys to victory. And gentlemen, we'll start with you. We'll start with Tucker, then we'll go with Jordan, and then Brody.
Ooh, keys to victory for Tennessee. This is a night game on the road for Josh Heupel, something that has not gone particularly well in the Heupel era. There have been some funky losses in there. I would not characterize a loss to Bama on Saturday as a funky loss just because they've got a number in the single digits next to their name, and, hadn't happened in 22 years, Tennessee winning down in Tuscaloosa. So, but on that note, one thing that is an issue for this Tennessee team on the road at times is, can you weather the storm with the environment? The pre-snap penalties in particular are something I'm looking at. I counted them up in the Mississippi State game when the Vols were on the road there earlier this year, just 2 in that game. I think there was a false start at one point, maybe in the second quarter, and then one late in the game. But Tennessee overall did a good job with that one. We'll see what happens this time around. So I'd say that's one key for me. Can you have some form of resistance both in the run game and once the ball passes the line of scrimmage, I think is the big thing, because we haven't mentioned it. Jordan said the linebackers were Tennessee's weakest group. I'm going to disagree with that. It's the safeties that are Tennessee's weakest group on this team. Tennessee took a pretty big loss earlier this season with Jacoby Thomas going to Miami. And this was a guy that was used as a starter, but also rotationally for Tennessee. But honestly, a bigger loss than Nico. And you got 2 guys back there, and Andre Turrentine, who's been in college for a while, but has only been starting the last couple seasons. And then you got a true sophomore in Idris Farouk filling in where Jacoby Thomas was. Alabama's got their white lightning in safety at Bray Hubbard. We had our white lightning last year with Will Brooks, who made 3 critical plays in that Alabama game that helped Tennessee win it last year in Neyland Stadium. So can you have any kind of resistance once the ball passes the line of scrimmage? I think is the big thing. Not so concerned about time of possession like they are in the comments. I'll be completely honest. If you look at Tennessee's results this year, they're 5-1, and the only game where they've won the time of possession battle is ETSU. So I'm not overly concerned about that. But it's, can you slow them down a little bit in that regard once the ball passes the line of scrimmage? And then offensively, I think too, you got to establish the run game. You've got some promising young backs in this group. It's not just Deshaun Bishop. Star Thomas has had his moments this year. Peyton Lewis did a good job filling in for Deshaun Bishop once Deshaun Bishop went down in that Arkansas game. So can you establish the run as well? And I guess you can mix this in with pre-snap penalties, among other things. But you've got this notion of weathering the storm on the road for Tennessee, because things are going to happen on the road that you don't want to happen. That's just how life is on the road in the SEC. Can you weather those things? Can you bounce back from it? Because we saw in 2023 in that Tennessee game down in Alabama, second play of the second half, Jalen Milroe hits Isaiah Bond for a touchdown pass. The very next kickoff, and this is still a mystery how they thought that Jeremiah Thielander waved for a fair catch on the front line of the kickoff return team. That's some questionable officiating right there from Ken Williamson, who has not covered himself in glory lately. If you watch that Georgia-Auburn game this past Saturday with the whole timeout situation, that was just ridiculous. But
that's not a timeout. I'm clapping.
Yeah, you're just clapping. Exactly. But no, I think you have to be able to weather those things. Officiating ultimately does not cost you a game. I am a firm believer in that, and Tennessee was not able to weather those things in Tuscaloosa last time. So if I had to give you some early keys, those would be the ones.
Yeah, I have to say that, I think the run game is going to be arguably the biggest thing in this game, because I think Ty Simpson and Joey Aguilar are, and especially the wide receivers too. I mean, as far as quarterbacks and receivers go, I think Tennessee and Alabama match up pretty well. So what would be the difference in that situation? It would be the running game. And I think Tennessee does have a dynamic running game, as Brody mentioned earlier, about like 200 yards a game. So if Tennessee can get the ball rolling, I think that could be a problem with Alabama being able to stop the run with that. But yeah, like Tennessee's not known for time of possession, and like Tucker mentioned, like won almost every game while losing the battle of time of possession. But it would be interesting if Josh Heupel could try to hold the football a little bit longer, because with how high scoring I think this game could be, if he could milk some of that clock, which he's like I said, he's not known for, but if he could just make some adjustments to the game, that could be a difference. But I've watched Tennessee enough under Heupel to think that that's probably not going to be the case. They're not going to hold the football. They're just going to try to outscore you. And I guess like I said, I guess the run game's probably going to be the biggest thing in that situation, because I think both teams can go back and forth passing, especially with how Tennessee's defense has been. And you guys would know better than me with Alabama's defense, but I would imagine you guys would be able to stop the pass better than Tennessee would. So I think Tennessee's got to get that run game going.
Brody, what are our keys to victory, good buddy?
Man, I always go back to the saying, football games are won in the trenches. And, I think this game's no different. I think that, in order for Alabama to come away with a victory, you got to be able to stop that three-headed monster they got at running back. Excuse me, with Deshaun Bishop, Peyton Lewis, and Star Thomas. Alabama, they've had ups and downs trying to stop the run. Had a really good week last week against the nation's leading rusher, and Ahmad Hardy. But on the flip side, I think that Alabama's also got to be able to run the football. I think Alabama has to be able to establish, the line of scrimmage, and that was something that they did the last 3 weeks. I think it was pivotal that Alabama was able to run the football. And like I said, Jam Miller being back was a huge boost, but you don't know what his status is for Saturday. So if he's unable to go, somebody's got to step up in his place, whether it be a Colin Deere, whether it be Richard Young, Dre Washington, or Daniel Hill, for that matter. But I think this game's going to be one in the trenches, and ultimately I think that's what it boils down to.
Yeah, no doubt about it. The running game is going to be key on both areas for both teams, and time of possession is going to be a good one. Because, I mean, it's like, I know like everybody talked about clock management on Tennessee, Georgia, but I know like Tucker and I have talked about it numerous times Sunday and on Rock and Rant and on Volunteers Live. It almost cost against Mississippi State and Arkansas, where I'm kind of like, that's why I've got this game being very close, because time of possession is going to play a huge part in it.
Yeah. And I don't know, Jackson, if that's as much time of possession or if that's just situational awareness. It's one of the two things. I lean more towards situational awareness because and we've had this discourse around our channel and just in different forums around Tennessee football. But you have a guy in Josh Heupel who let's flash back to 2022, third Saturday of October. Will Reichard misses the kick. Tennessee's got a few seconds to try and get into field goal range. He does. He gets the timeout off just in time. Does 2025 Josh Heupel do that? I think the answer is no. Does Tennessee beat Alabama in 2022 if Josh Heupel doesn't decide to go down and kick a field goal in the final few seconds, because you just don't know if you're going to get an opportunity to do that? And that's one thing that does worry me with Tennessee in a close game is, like, you saw the end of that Mississippi State game. You had timeouts at your disposal, but you bled all of this clock. It's like you didn't trust your kicker. And what ends up happening is you throw a Hail Mary that is A, well short of the end zone, and B, very well could have been a pick six and an upset win for Mississippi State right then and there. So, look, if you're going to go down in a blaze of glory. Don't turtle up and crawl into a little ball and try and die in this little hole in the wall. I'm not trying to rhyme or anything here, but you get what I'm saying. Don't like if Tennessee is going to lose this game, don't be cowardly in doing it.
No doubt about it.